Hello everybody, it's Foo here, and today I want to talk about Galarian Rapidash. In my last video about Golurk, I talked about how it was banned from PU, which is one of the lowest tiers. And in the thumbnail, I included information from Smogon showing that it was banned at the same time as Galarian Rapidash, which prompted a number of people to request a video about this most majestic of ponies. So here we are. Let's discuss the surprising reasons why Galarian Rapidash got banned and take a look at how it can be used competitively both in singles and doubles. It has the decent Psychic Fairy typing, which is quite strong, but is becoming increasingly common with Pokemon like Mr. Mime, Hatterene, Tapu Lele, and Gardevoir all sharing this typing. So this is a slight issue for Rapidash because it means it has a lot of competition in its role. However, its stats somewhat differentiate it from the other Pokemon. All of the Pokemon that I mentioned previously are special attackers, whereas Rapidash is a physical attacker. Physical fairy type attackers are not common, and actually Galarian Rapidash is pretty much the fastest of them all, barring Zacian, which is banned from most formats, and Tapu Koko, which doesn't even learn any good physical fairy type moves. So as a physical fairy type Pokemon, this is a good option. However, it is very frail, which is a significant drawback, and the other psychic fairy types generally hit harder. It's just they hit on the special side. So if you want a physical fairy type, then you could consider Galarian Rapidash. In terms of abilities, Rapidash has one completely useless ability in Run Away, because in competitive, if you're gonna forfeit, you're gonna forfeit. It doesn't matter how quickly you run away. And then it has two mediocre abilities in Anticipation and Pastel Veil. None of these abilities are particularly helpful for Rapidash in its offensive role. It could do with something to boost damage maybe, although I really think that Rapidash should have got Misty Surge instead of Galarian Wheezing, and it would have definitely given Rapidash a little more utility. Setting up terrain is very useful just as it is, but alas, Pastel Veil will have to suffice in most situations. So let's consider its move pool, and this is where Rapidash does get some decent options and we start to see its strengths. First, let's consider the more obvious things. So it has great coverage in terms of its same type attack bonus moves, its stabs. It gets Play Rough, which is very strong, and then Zen Headbutt or Psycho Cut on the psychic side, which are good options too. Zen Headbutt slightly more powerful and can flinch, but it can miss. So Psycho Cut, which can crit and always hits, is another option there. And then it does get ground coverage in high horsepower, which pairs beautifully with fairy type moves. And yeah, fairy and ground go so well together, and they're actually quite rare in combination. So that's such a great bonus for Rapidash to get. Then it has some interesting options like Wild Charge, which allows it to hit Pokemon like Charizard or Corviknight, which would otherwise resist the moves that I've just mentioned. And also it can get some good Dynamax coverage moves. So Smart Strike can turn into Max Steel Spike, which boosts its defense. It has Bounce, which can turn into Max Airstream to boost its speed, which is really helpful. And also Low Kick, which is a decent coverage move if you're fighting Pokemon that are heavy, because Fighting and Fairy, again, go quite well together. And that turns into Max Knuckle to boost your attack, which is nice. Then there are some more niche options like Megahorn and Throat Chop, which can be more situational, but depending on what you're going against, those might be useful options for you. Combining all of these coverage moves is great, and Rapidash gets access to Sword Stance. So it has the base 100 attack stat, which is good, it's fine, it's not the most powerful, but with Sword Stance, that turns Rapidash into a real damage dealer. And with its decent speed stat, it can definitely be a sweeper if you get it in the right position to set up and then take out the rest of your opponent's team with all of its great coverage. So this Pokemon was banned from the PU tier because it was a physical cleaner, right? Well, that's where the surprise comes in. In the PU tier, it turns out that Rapidash's special attacking option was what really pushed it over the edge. Though it has a mediocre special attack stat, its dual stab of Psychic and Dazzling Gleam, plus Mystical Fire, a fire type move with decent power which reduces the opponent's special attack stat, hit everything in the tier for good damage. Rapidash also has access to Calm Mind to boost its power enough to make it a threat. It definitely needs as many damage boosts as it can get on the special side, but because its coverage is so great, because its speed is really good, and because in PU fairy types are quite rare, this was all really, really great for Rapidash. Because its special sets were viable, it was hard to predict if your opponent's Rapidash was going to be a special attacker or a physical attacker, which meant that you weren't sure whether you should keep your physical wall healthy or your special wall healthy for the end game when Rapidash might come out, set up, and sweep. So I was really shocked to hear that this versatility was what made Rapidash strong. I definitely thought it would just be like the physical set, its attack is much better than its special attack, so surely that's what people were using, but actually special sets were viable too just because of its great typing and coverage options. So that was a real surprise to me, but there's more. Rapidash also gets access to recovery in Morning Sun, and that's always great. Recovery moves are always very useful. Combining this with Calm Mind, which can boost your special defense as well as your special attack, and also a defense boosting item like Grassy Seed or Keyberry, both of these give you +1 defense in certain situations, it meant that Rapidash could become bulky enough to stack Calm Mind boosts and then sweep with stored power, which just kind of blows my mind. I never saw this coming. Using Rapidash's bulk to clean up games seems so far-fetched, but also very cool for this mythical beast. So the idea is that you come in, you get a defense boost immediately, and then set up Calm Mind, recover off damage with Morning Sun, and keep getting defense boosts, special defense boosts, special attack boosts, and all the while just being able to recover health. On this set, Pastel Veil also comes into effect because one of the best ways of taking down Pokemon that boost their defenses is with Toxic. This is poison that racks up over time and gets more and more deadly. Rapidash is immune to Toxic, it's immune to any kind of poison. So it's really cool to see Rapidash's signature ability coming into play here because walls may have no way of dealing any damage to Rapidash. If you've got the defense and special defense boosts, walls are generally weaker anyway and they rely on toxic damage, so they can't do that. You can just set up in their face, recover in their face until you've got enough boosts to just sweep through the rest of your opponent's team. Bearing in mind that Rapidash still has that great speed stat, so once you have set up, you've got all of those special attack boosts, you've also got an incredibly powerful stored power, then you can take out the rest of the opponent's Pokemon. So again, this was something that I really didn't see coming at all. We've now got a fast physical sweeper, a fast special sweeper, and a bulky setup sweeper all in one, and you never knew which flavor of Rapidash your opponent was using until it's in front of you causing havoc. So all of this was really cool to hear. I loved that Rapidash was seeing such innovative usage in the PU tier. Now it's important to note that Rapidash was banned from PU, which is a low tier in a singles format, and actually since then the Crown Tundra DLC came out and it had a huge impact on tiers, and Rapidash was actually unbanned. So you can now use it in the PU tier, and that's probably the best place to use it if you want to use it, so go and give it a try. Objectively, Rapidash is not particularly strong, so as I say, this is a low tier. In higher tiers, Rapidash would definitely struggle, it's more frail, it's not as strong as some other options. But if you really do want to use it in other formats, what is the best way to use it in singles and doubles? In my opinion, its niche is its fast physical attacking set. No other Pokemon can do this quite as well as Rapidash, and fairy ground coverage is as rare as it is effective. So in singles, try a Sword Stance set with Play Rough and High Horsepower. The last move can be a coverage move of your choice depending on what you might be facing. Wild Charge is a decent option. Alternatively, you could run a stab move like Zen Headbutt or Psycho Cut, or maybe even Morning Sun, and give it plenty of support. So setting up Light Screen and Reflect will greatly help Rapidash in terms of taking hits while it tries to set up Sword Stance, and also using lots of U-turn and Volt Switch will find you more opportunities. So if you can get Rapidash in safely and maybe threaten your opponent, they might want to switch their Pokemon out. That gives you an opportunity to set up a Sword Stance, and then you can start dealing some real damage. Really, in singles, Rapidash is best as a late game sweeper, but it definitely will need some support in that field. In doubles, generally the best way to use a niche attacker like Rapidash, but other Pokemon this applies to just as much, is to Dynamax them so that they get a bit bulkier, they can survive 1 or 2 hits, and also use weakness policy because this is an easy way to massively increase their damage output. Again, a physical set will probably work best due to its higher physical attack stat and its great physical coverage, as well as some really cool options for Dynamax moves. A cool duo to try is pairing Rapidash with Dugtrio. Dugtrio is fast and has a weak Sludge Wave. Sludge Wave is a poison type move that hits all Pokemon on the field. That's really cool because it'll hit both the opponents and Rapidash, and it means that your opponent can't redirect that attack away. So if they're using Follow Me or Rage Powder, it won't affect Sludge Wave because it just hits everything. So that's really useful because it means that you'll always hit Rapidash. It's super effective on Rapidash, but because Dugtrio has such a low special attack stat and it's a non-stab spread move, this Sludge Wave will do like no damage to Rapidash at all, but it will activate its weakness policy because it's super effective. And also, because of Rapidash's Pastel Veil ability, it means that Sludge Wave can't poison it. So that's some really cool synergy, again with the Pastel Veil ability, which we love to see work. So that's really cool. And with the Sludge Wave, it may allow you to break opponents' Focus Sashes, because as I said, it hits everything. If they're not a Steel type, then you'll do some damage and hopefully break their Focus Sash. Now you've got your Rapidash with your weakness policy, you can start hammering the opponent with moves. You definitely want to play rough, you definitely want high horsepower. You can have maybe Bounce to get max Airstream speed boosts, or maybe Wild Charge just for some better coverage. And then your last move could be Protect or Swords Dance. Once you Dynamax, they're both max guard, which is great, but having the Swords Dance option can be quite nice to try to get a +2 boost before you Dynamax. Once you've done all of that, Dugtrio does have access to some interesting support moves. You've got Screech, which reduces your opponent's defense. However, it can miss, so that one's a bit dodgy. And then there's also the controversial Ally Switch. This can be helpful to take targeting away from Rapidash, which even when Dynamax can be quite frail. So I'd say it's a good option here, although as I say, it's also controversial. People may predict it, but it's something to bear in mind. Another cool thing about Dugtrio is that it can have the Arena Trap ability, which traps your opponent's grounded Pokemon in. That means if they've got a bad matchup against Rapidash at the beginning of the battle, they're unable to switch out and you can just start claiming your KOs. So it's a pretty cool duo. It's probably not the strongest in the world. There are definitely ways to scupper this, like Fake Out could be a real problem for Dugtrio, but it's still an interesting one to consider. Alternatively, you could try to use a Pokemon like Sableye, which I think has a good synergy as well. This can activate weakness policy with Shadow Sneak, which is a priority move, so it will move before Rapidash goes. And what's good about Sableye is that it has the ghost typing, so it's immune to Fake Out. You can get that weakness policy activation and start doing some damage straight away with Rapidash. And Sableye has some really great support moves too. It has Will-O-Wisp to burn your opponents, so if they have physical attackers, you can reduce their damage output. It also has Quash with Prankster. That means that you can go first and make one of your opponent's Pokemon move right at the end of the turn. So you don't need speed control with that. If you just make them move at the end of the turn, Rapidash will outspeed and take them out, which is a really nice way to use it. And also Sableye has Fake Out, which can be used to give Rapidash an opportunity to potentially set up a Swords Dance on the first turn when you go for Fake Out, which is all very cool. Even with this support, Rapidash may struggle in the doubles format because it is more likely to have to take attacks when facing off against two opponents. In singles, it can try to KO a Pokemon before that Pokemon gets a chance to attack, and if it's successful, it doesn't have to take any damage at all, which is very good for such a frail Pokemon. But obviously in doubles, if you're single targeting, you can only take out one Pokemon a turn. That means another Pokemon is available to attack your Rapidash, and it's quite frail, so it probably won't last so long. So we've discussed why Rapidash got banned from the PU tier and taken some tips about how it could maybe be used in other formats too. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe for more content, and ding the bell because I don't have a regular upload schedule, so you don't want to miss out on a video, you need to ding that bell. Also check me out on Twitter at SJA900. All that's left to be said is I've been Foo, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.